Representatives, there is a reason that I believe you were elected to be in this chamber, in this session, at the beginning of this new decade, representing your district and serving the state of Utah. And the next 45 days is going to help us understand why. Today is the first legislative session of the 2020s. As in decades past, we're going to face significant issues, and how we address these issues will significantly impact the direction of our state for years and decades to come. We have an economy that is rapidly evolving. Our population here in Utah is growing at unprecedented rates, and we're charged with educating a tech-savvy generation who's going to operate in and change the world in ways that we can scarcely imagine. Sounds easy, right? It's actually a great responsibility, and I think it's a great opportunity. I mentioned technology, which is not only changing today's classrooms, but it's changing the way we work here on the Hill as well. While we're an institution that's steeped in tradition, that operates today very much so like it did in the past, we currently enjoy unprecedented capabilities to connect with the people that we represent. In light of recent events, let me be clear. Clear about the elephant, or to be bipartisan, donkey in the room. Legislation by referendum, while part of the political process, can be divisive and many times be short of facts. It has proven ruinous for many states that have turned down that path and turned away from the basic principles of a democratic republic. Our neighbors elected us to immerse ourselves in the details of each policy, weigh the various interests, drawbacks, and benefits. This is a significant amount of trust that's been placed in us. But on many complex issues, our constituents are an essential part of that process. They play an important role in shaping the policy decisions that we make, and their voice is important. We must find new ways of both listening and explaining to our constituents the issues that we face and the decisions we make to address them. As we open this legislative session, let us each and let us collectively commit to employing the considerable resources that we have available to us in our quest to serve the voice of the people. As I've said before, we are not foes on a political battlefield. We are all Utahns committed to getting public policy right. This year, we're going to celebrate two very important historical events. The first is the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. The second, the 150th anniversary of the first vote cast by a woman, which occurred right here in Salt Lake City. This event is memorialized in this painting by David Koch of Seraph Young above the doors of our chamber. Those important milestones changed the course of history, and it changed it for the better. They've helped us and this body become more representative of the people, and they have opened the door for women to serve and for women to lead. Today, our capital city and the capital's most populated county are led by women, both of whom are here with us today. I first want to recognize and welcome the mayor of our capital city, Mayor Erin Mendenhall. Mayor, the Utah House extends its congratulations and best wishes to you in your new role. The prosperity of our capital city is inextricably linked with the prosperity of the entire state of Utah. And I personally, Mayor, look forward to working with you on the many important issues that we face. I also want to recognize and welcome Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson. Your leadership on mental health issues and homelessness is noteworthy, and we look forward to working with you to address these significant challenges going forward. We're glad you're with us today, and we welcome you into the People's House. So I have two incredible daughters who are here today. I don't know if they're paying attention, but they're here today. And I hope they can look to Mayors Mendenhall and Wilson, as well as the female lawmakers in this room, as inspirational examples of the importance of public service. To women throughout our state, I want you to know that we need your voice, we need your experience, and we need you to be an active part of the important process of public policy. The demands of serving in public office and the legislature can be significant for us individually and can be a challenge for our families as well. Now, I want to mention another Jenny Wilson, the one that I'm married to. She's right here. She's my sounding board, my confidant. She's my gluten-free chef. Gentlemen, she backs the boat trailer into the lake. She's that good. She is known in our home and soon to be outside of it for years as my smoking hot wife. And I'm glad she's with me today, and I'm in big trouble. But her willingness and sacrifice, which allows me to serve in this role, are nothing short of saintly. And that is true of every spouse, partner, and family member of each of us that serves in the House. Please join me in giving my smoking hot wife and all of our loved ones a big round of applause. Representatives, I imagine that those that sat in this chamber in years gone by probably felt the same as many of us feel today. They had challenges that they faced, they had ideas of how to make Utah better, and they wanted our state to fulfill its potential. President Harry Truman said, "Men and women make history, not the other way around. In periods where there is no leadership, society stands still." Progress occurs when courageous, skillful leaders seize the opportunity to change things for the better. The challenges we face as lawmakers are real. The issues we tackle are complex, and at times it seems as though we're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But I believe in this room we have the commitment to public service and the determination and the foresight to solve any challenge. As we plan for the future and as we look to the decisions ahead, I want to share with you some things that I hope we can accomplish together.
It's not just a new year, it's a new decade. And this legislative session will pave the way for tomorrow. Utah has a proud history of looking to the future and working together. The decisions that were made in the past have given us today's strong state economy, high quality of life, good health, and world-class recreational opportunities. Now it's our turn as action-oriented policymakers to work to preserve our great state's way of life, not just for today, but for our children, grandchildren, and generations to come. Utah is currently faced with the opportunities and challenges of growth. The tough choices we'll be making in this session may require us to sacrifice some comfort and convenience now to prevent greater challenges in the future. Every policy we consider will need to be examined with a long-term view to preserve the things we love. Our policy priorities should guide Utah's growth in the direction we want it to go, rather than allowing growth to direct us. Education and education funding will continue to be a top priority for lawmakers. We've substantially increased education funding over the past several years, and this year will be no different. as we prepare students to carry forward the dynamic legacy of economic prosperity, we will ensure the success of our state's future. It's time to develop a comprehensive statewide funding and growth strategy for our many wonderful outdoor recreation assets that will preserve and maintain access to outdoor wonders and opportunities. We'll look at how to help higher education better integrate technical training and four-year institutions, and to make higher education more affordable and accessible to Utah students and families. We can't just continue widening roads. We'll support the planning and funding of a multimodal system of not just cars and trucks, but also transit, biking, walking, and recreation infrastructure. Healthcare costs continue to rise, making it increasingly challenging for individuals and families to pay for the care they need. Our ongoing challenge is to bend the cost curve to make healthcare and prescription drugs more affordable for Utah families. To start this new decade and this new session, let's join together to find creative and collaborative solutions that strengthen the assets of our state and maintain our high quality of life. As we all work together and advocate for the big picture, we will ensure Utah continues to be the best place to live, work, learn, and play.
Representative Albrecht, I didn't know you moonlighted as a voiceover actor, but thank you very much. The issues highlighted in that video are just a few of the policy decisions we will be considering in this chamber over the next 45 days. I believe much of our state's success has grown from wise decisions made by representatives who sat in these chairs before us. In contemplating the exciting decisions that we will be making, I borrowed this quote from a good friend. The best way to predict the future is to invent it. And that's why we're here today. To invent Utah's future, we must embrace many of the ideals that have shaped Utah into the remarkable place that it is today. These ideals of industry, compassion, and faith. I believe these are among the core elements that's made Utah what it is, and they're essential to our efforts going forward. First, I want to speak about industry. Industry isn't just hard work. It's organized, focused, and collaborative work. As we embark on this new decade, in this modern century, we could be quick to forget the lessons of those who planted the first seeds here in our community. When the pioneers first arrived, the only resource available to them was the land. And by most standards, the land was not much of a resource. In fact, most considered it utterly inhospitable. In late June of 1847, Brigham Young encountered mountain man Jim Bridger. Brigham Young was eager for any information that he could get from Bridger about the Salt Lake Valley and asked him about the local terrain. Bridger told him, "I think it's unwise, Brigham, to bring a big group of people into this valley." And he said, "I'll even give you $1,000 for any bushel of corn that you can raise in that basin." Well, according to witnesses, Brigham Young responded, "Wait a little bit, we'll show you." Then Brigham Young and the pioneer families that he'd brought with him set to work. Well, they shaped the land through sheer will and effort, converting arid desert soil into the productive farmland and ranches that helped shape our state. I don't know if Brigham Young ever collected that $1,000 from Jim Bridger. Do you know, Representative Chu? But what Utah produces today far exceeds that bushel of corn. That wasn't in the script, but I just saw him right there. So, along with the rest of the country, we've rolled from the agrarian age to the doorstep of the fourth industrial revolution. And as the years have passed, Utah has mixed our ability to embrace the new things that come at us with the ability to still preserve the elements that have made Utah distinctive and wonderful. Today, the pace of technological innovation is impacting all of our citizens from the bottom of the state to the top, And it's impacting all of our industries, including agriculture and mining, even to the most white-collar of professions. And as technology continues to make part of our lives better by doing more of the jobs that we've done in the past, how is this going to fundamentally impact our economy and how our society operates? Well, like our courageous forebears who produced buckets full of corn from a dusty basin, we will have to continue to build and lead through the ongoing commitment to industry and cooperation, whatever the challenge that comes. The second ideal is compassion. A few months ago, some of us know someone named Kelly Snyder. She actually is the long-suffering wife of Casey Snyder. Poor girl. And was driving down State Road 165 near Providence. I haven't even gotten the story, Kelly. When she saw a young man standing on the shoulder of the road, something struck Kelly as out of place. I can't look at her anymore. After putting gas in her car, she turned around and went back. Well, that young man was still there. Pushing aside the trepidation that Kelly felt, she tapped him on the arm and asked him, "Are you feeling suicidal?" As Kelly describes it, with tears in his eyes, he reached into his pocket and handed me a handwritten suicide note. Well, Kelly invited that young man to sit in her car. She reassured him that he had value and that he was loved and encouraged him to hang on. Kelly's compassion saved a life and prevented heartache among those that loved and knew that young man. At a time when 2 Utahns die and 13 Utahns are treated for suicide every day, we need more people like Kelly Snyder. Suicide is I can't see. Suicide is a serious issue that impacts far too many Utahns. We are doing better to remove the societal stigma of mental health issues. During this session, we're going to have the opportunity to consider several bills to address mental health and prevent suicide. I can think of nothing more important than doing everything we can to reach out to those in need and ensure they know they have an important place among us. This compassion demonstrated by Kelly and other acts of kindness in our state is reflected as Utah consistently leads the nation in volunteerism. It's reflected in our enthusiastic welcoming of refugees seeking a better and more stable life. And this compassion reminds us that we must continue to foster political dialogue that is civil, issue-focused, and defined by common ground rather than by our differences. Compassion can transcend division. Utah's future success is dependent on our commitment to reach out and help one another, as Kelly taught us that day on Route 165. The third and final principle that I want to share with you today, that I believe has brought us to where we are, is faith. Faith in God and faith in one another. Joining us today are some of the leaders of Utah's faith communities. Very Reverend George Znikas, Dean of the Holy Trinity Cathedral of the Greek Orthodox Church of the Greater Salt Lake. Why don't you stand as I read your names? So thank you for joining us. The Most Reverend Oscar Solis, Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Salt Lake City. Thank you. Elder Craig C. Christensen of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Reverend Oscar T. Moses, the 30-day veteran pastor of the Calvary Baptist Church. The Right Reverend Scott Hayashi, Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Utah. And Imam Osama Hussein of the Khadija Islamic Center. Please join me in welcoming these wonderful and dedicated leaders to the house. Each of you embodies faith in God, which has been a bedrock element of our state's culture and its identity, and it's a key ingredient of the success of our blessed state. According to the Pew Research Center, the vast majority of Utahns profess a very profound belief in God. Because of our fundamentally connected faith, that faith in God, Utah is a haven for individuals seeking a common sense of community and belonging. That faith is what ultimately led early pioneers to settle here. Since then, Utah has become a place where interfaith collaboration results in compassionate cooperation, rivaled anywhere in America. Organizations like Catholic Community Services, the Asian Association of America of Utah, Jewish Family Services, Lutheran Social Services, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints set aside differences in belief and link arms to help refugees, the homeless, and other vulnerable populations establish new homes and lead new lives with dignity and meaning. Without question, Utah, because of the work of these individuals and others, is a place where religious faith strengthens both public and private life. Representatives, a second aspect of faith that I believe has brought us to where we are is faith in one another. I have been personally enriched and strengthened by the sense of unity that our shared public service can create. I've made friends in this room that will last a lifetime and hopefully beyond. See what the religious leaders think about that. I'm going to make it. Serving shoulder to shoulder with you. This unity can, when used, empower us to face the future with optimism and courage. It's my hope that we can emulate the devotion of our faith community's leaders and become empowered to lead, and lead together with faith in God and in one another. As our state moves to a new era, there is no finer group of people with whom which I would rather serve. Thank you for your service, thank you for your sacrifice, and thank you for your unwavering commitment to the great state of Utah. May our path forward be paved by industry, may our actions be defined by compassion, and may our path be illuminated by faith in God and faith in one another. Now let's get to work.